Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to cut straight to the chase on this one. I am so excited. Today we are having an early look at the upcoming beasts of the Mesozoic Utahraptor Ostromyci. So let's jump in, shall we? Oh my goodness gracious, I haven't been this excited for a genus from BOTM in like ever. Utahraptor was sorely in need of a good new figure, and the fact that BOTM has jumped on it and released one is just incredible. As always, a massive thank you to David Silva for sending this one out to me to do an early video on. My goodness, look how big it is! Now, if you have any of the original Raptor figures, the articulated 1/6 scale Raptors from David Silva, then this size of this figure would be fairly familiar. It's around the same size, but it's just a lot heavier and way denser because Utahraptor was a much more heavily built animal than all of those Raptors from that series was. But what's really cool about this one is just getting some of the 1/18 mini Raptors and putting it up next to it, and it really finally hammers it in that this thing was huge. I mean, a lot of dromaeosaurs were on the smaller side and were fairly lean in appearance, but Utahraptor is just this absolute bruiser and was about 23 feet long, I believe, and weighed as much as a polar bear. Like, that's crazy. This has always been my favorite dromaeosaur. It's just such a cool animal, and we finally have an amazing figure of it. So let's dive in and just have a closer look at those details, shall we? Now, first of all, the sculpt on this one is just incredible. The feather detailing is nothing short of immaculate across this entire figure. The scalation detail too on the hands and feet and the snout looks phenomenal as well. But what I really think brings this one to the next level is the way the paint is applied on this one. It really looks like a work of art. Like, this thing just jumped straight out of some paleo art. It's insane. The way the colors are blended, the subtle dry brushing on certain layers of feathering to really give this thing true depth other than just crisp looking detail. It's amazing. It has some really gorgeous highlights of a bunch of different brown colors and some reddish browns and even some light tans and such, just all in the right places to bring true realistic definition to all of the feathering on this figure. And speaking of the coloration, we'll just go over that quick. It is beautiful. The actual palette of colors here is fairly on the duller side for BOTM, but the way they're applied and the patterns throughout is just absolutely gorgeous and so eye-catching. It looks so regal and tribal, the way the striping is done on the neck and the tail. I love it so much. And I love the dark snout on the face that stretches behind the eye onto the coloration with the feathering, with that dark sort of mascara stretching behind the eye on the feather coloration. That is beautiful, brings wonderful attention to the head. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have a fun time editing this. I'm just pausing my talking and playing with this thing. It's so much fun to play with. You know what? Speaking of playing with stuff, let's just look at the articulation. Roll the articulation reel.
A big thank you to my channel members, as always, particularly a Trash Bug, Raphael Tree Kangaroo, and Zebra Seats for all being Spino Chads. If you want to become a member, click the big join button next to my name down below.
Wasn't that lovely? Yes, yes. As you can see, compared to the original Raptor figures from the series, of course, these are all made with new parts and everything. It's a very different body build compared to the other Raptors, and we're also working in a different scale. It's 1/18 scale. But the articulation is very smooth, and the range of motion especially has been improved on so much since those earlier figures. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is literally just lift this thing up. The ball joint in the torso is so incredibly well done that, look at that. You can bring them all the way down, all the way up, just like that. Crazy. The head can be turned completely around and side to side. And all of the joints throughout the body feel incredibly tight as well. One thing I would be careful of, which I will touch on more in another review coming out next, because I did get another figure. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Some people might be able to guess which one that is. Do be careful with the elbow joint on these front wings when you get this one. They don't have quite as much friction as I would like, but that easily can be fixed by popping them out and applying some super glue to the joint or some fingernail gloss or something to thicken up the actual peg to give it something more to grab onto. But yes, there are two versions of this figure color-wise. There's the Cyberzoic version coming out, and then there's this one. You can't really go wrong with picking either one. They both look incredible. This one won me over the Cyberzoic one because of the white eyes as opposed to the yellow ones. I think just the kind of spooky, ghostly looking white eyes are just so naturalistic and beautiful looking on this figure. And actually, that's one part of the articulation I didn't touch on yet. But this figure does come with swappable feet, as you can see right there, with curled toes. But they're different from other BOTM feet, particularly the Tyrannosaur series with the swappable feet. So instead of the swappable foot having the receiving cup end of the ball joint, these come with the hinge joint in each foot with a ball joint coming out the top, and it actually makes them way easier to swap feet on. So for example, if I just pop this out, it's just like Bionicles all over again. You just pop the other one in, there you go. It's so easy. It actually is going to encourage me to actually swap the feet more on these figures, because while it was doable after loosening up the joints, these feel like they're going to be much more stable over time too. Because the actual joint that gives the foot stability is built into this piece rather than being the connection point between the two, if that makes sense, compared to the Tyrannosaurs. So great improvement there. And also I just have to bring attention to how beautifully these wings, when you splay them, the feathers still match up with each other. So cool, so cool, so cool. Also, lovely jaw seal on this one. That's great, that's so good, I love it. Now, when you're unboxing this figure, it comes with a variety of accessories. Of course, we already went over the extra feet with the curled toes and such. It also comes with this right here, which is a clear version of the standard Raptor base. And this confused me at first because we're gonna jump into this in a second. This is a new display stand that comes with these figures that David Silva has been designing. But this confused me at first, including this when we had a new display stand coming out. But I'm really thankful that it came with it, because I love the direction that this new display stand style is going in, but it is heavily flawed in its current state, in my opinion, which I'm going to get into right now. Oh, Utahraptor, don't tip over, buddy. There you go. Also, this one, compared to the other Raptors too, is so much easier just to balance and set down standing on its own. It's great. He's just chilling there. You can't see him, but he's chilling there. What a chill guy. I'm gonna name you Greg. But anyway, this new base system for BOTM is completely modular. So as you can see, you just twist this neck part to the side. It can be completely removed, but you put it in and then you lock it into any place on this little ramp style disc base here to give it friction and hold it into place. So you can adjust it at any angle you want depending on the pose that your figure is in. You can also place it on the front for any more vertical poses, just like that. And then the head can be customized with any of the existing stand parts. So this has the same tiny ball joint style that comes with the Raptor style bases already, and the Tyrannosaur series bases, whichever ones come with display rods and the such. This design is great, and once I get it into a pose that accommodates the stand, it works great. But the one massive flaw with this is the base of it. This clear disc part on the bottom needs to be at least like 3 times larger than it currently is. Because when you're trying to place a figure on it that is just about as heavy as the Utahraptor, if not more, both of the feet need to be on that clear acrylic stand part to weigh it down, or else it just falls out from underneath it because of all of the weight. The point of contact for the figure on the display surface needs to be on top of this base part. And I think if we solve that and make this base part bigger for everything, we're gold, we are sorted. And I think it would be pretty easy too to sell like a pack of these, because we're already selling these separately in different sizes for different figures and such. But I think it would be pretty easy to make a pack of these, or just include different ones with different sized disc bases depending on how big the figure is that you are displaying it with. So in its current state, I'm happy he included this, because this actually works way better currently for the Utahraptor. as opposed to this, but it is great just seeing our feedback on the Tyrannosaur series having a lack of display stands, just moving forward and evolving with the series, and we're getting stuff like this. So thank you, David Silva, for going out of your way and listening to that feedback from the community and including a display rod like this. I think with a little bit of work, it'll be a perfect modular system that can be expanded upon greatly in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Now, I've been talking about how big this thing is, so let's just measure this dude with my floppy ruler because it's broken. It's great. I need to get a new tape measure. This is disgusting. But in an average pose, this one is about 14 inches long, and just standing fairly horizontally, it's about 7 inches tall. Now, of course, dimensions are going to change depending on the pose you put it in, yada, yada, yada. You get all that. And of course, which I didn't touch on quite yet, but this figure does come with a lovely collector's card, which is also on the box art. Paleo art done by Gabriel Ugueto. And there's a look at the back of the card as well. Absolutely gorgeous art. I love this Utahraptor design. But yes, this one is just stunning. One of my favorite BOTM figures in my collection. I feel like every review I do with these new and upcoming figures from BOTM, because he's just improving so much in so many ways. He's not only releasing really cool looking dinosaurs still, but he's listening to the feedback, giving us display stands, making sure joint integrity lasts longer with the new style of swappable feet and such. The range of motion on these joints is honestly insane. The sculpt quality, I feel like, just keeps getting better and better and more consistently amazing. And the paint looks closer and closer to the prototypes every time. This Utahraptor is nothing short of a masterpiece, and it not only is my favorite representation of the genus in figure form, but right now it is just my favorite representation of the genus ever. Paleo art and everything included. When I think of Utahraptor, I think of this thing now. Bravo to David Silva and the rest of the team who worked on this figure. This is an S-tier addition to your collection if you're a fan of BOTM and you're a fan of dromaeosaurs. Highly, highly recommend. Now on to something more vulture related, perhaps. I don't know how else to drop a hint other than that, so there you go.
Click, 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 click. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you there. I was just riding in on my imaginary horse. Do you want an imaginary horse? Then subscribe to SpinoDude and we'll send you your very own imaginary horse. Just, we won't let you know when it shows up, so you're gonna have to find it on your own, but we trust you.